So 2022 has brought us quite a few really cool mouse pad drops, but today I have a bit of a newcomer to the mouse pad space from the company SuperBeings Lab. This is the Momento Balance Pad. And big shout out, thank you SuperBeings Lab for sending this mouse pad out for review. So starting off, it's got some very tight edge stitching. Pretty impressive, very consistent. You can see at the very end where it locks into itself, and on the reverse side it's heat treated. Should hold pretty darn well. The edge stitching is very tight. Now it is fairly flat, though a little bit more raised than what you would see on something like an Aqua Control or an Artisan especially. Artisan is very, very flat. I don't think too many people will be bothered by it, but it is higher than the mouse pad surface itself. Now it did come in a box rolled up. However, it came with this really cool protective bag. So that was a big plus, very premium feel. Now normally when you get it rolled up, a mouse pad tends to have the issue of not wanting to lay down flat, but I was very impressed with the Momento because it laid flat after just about one day on my desk. Very impressive in that way. The backing is a natural rubber, lightly textured, but definitely very grippy. Holds onto my laminate desk very well with almost no nudging during mouse swipes, and even when I put my hand and rub on it really good, it doesn't budge. It only comes in one size, 480 by 400 millimeters, and is definitely big enough for pretty much any sensitivity to be able to use this appropriately in-game. It's also nice and thick at 4 millimeters, fairly on the firm side. It's right around, well, if you're familiar with Artisan, it's right between a soft and a mid Artisan. So it's fairly firm. There is a little bit of give if you push on it, but not so much that unless you're really purposely digging into the mouse pad by pushing down, you're not really going to get any kind of change in glide. So it does kind of provide a little bit of consistency in performance in that way. I also noticed that the Momento is pretty darn heavy in terms of like the actual weight. It gives it a kind of a premium feel. It is significantly heavier than something from Artisan or like a GP4, and it is somewhat heavier than something like an Aqua Control mousepad. No spin out on any of the mice that I have tested on this pad. Very, very reliable surface. Didn't have any issues with the sensor, liftoff distance, anything like that. And the fabric weave, if you look at it close, it's very similar to an Aqua Control mousepad. It only comes in one colorway, but it is this cool purple and pink colorway. Not my personal cup of tea, but I could definitely see someone incorporating like a vaporwave kind of feel in their setup. And a big plus here is that the logo on the bottom right, it is present and it's kind of big. I do kind of like the way their logo looks. It's actually a part of the pad. So it's not raised. It's not like that rubberized logo like you'll see. There's no tag. All of the mouse pad surface is usable real estate, which is a really big plus that a lot of other mouse pads sometimes have issues with. I did notice that mine did come with a little bit of a blemish on the top left of the mouse pad. I'm not sure, it looks like maybe like a single like thread came loose or something. However, when I run my mouse pad over it, it doesn't affect the glide at all. It is a little bit concerning in terms of durability in that specific spot. Now, like I mentioned a little bit before, this definitely is quite a bit of a hybrid pad. It isn't super fast, it isn't super controlled, not a huge amount of stopping power. It's very much in the middle and very comfortable to get used to and use. Putting it to the test in Overwatch 2, I didn't have any trouble with flick shots or tracking. I did actually notice my tracking was very, very fluid on the Momento. I feel like that was kind of the strongest point in terms of use. The tracking and the dynamic friction just felt very smooth. In terms of humidity, right now it's very, very cold where I am and the air is pretty dry. So I had to do a little bit of a experiment, and it performed pretty well considering I put like a lot of water on both my forearm and the actual pad itself. I would say that this is very humidity resistant. Not immune, it did slow down a touch, at least with the contact, the skin contact, but the mouse pad itself on these skates didn't feel significantly different to me. It has moderately low initial friction, fairly low dynamic friction, and just enough stopping power. It's actually a touch higher in terms of stopping power than what you would expect based on how the initial friction and dynamic friction feel. Overall, it's just a very well balanced pad. There's nothing that it does that's way over the top. It just kind of has a little bit of everything, not overly fast, not overly slow. The pad that I found the Momento closest to in terms of performance is probably the Aqua Control Plus, and I was using the white one with the that kind of Japanese wave pattern on it. All right, so let's give the Momento a grade. Now, mousepad surfaces are pretty subjective. Instead of basing what the actual performance is, because that's so personal and I don't want my personal preferences to interrupt with something that I really want to be more objective, I'm going to grade gaming and everyday use based on what are common pitfalls for mouse pads in general. Now, for gaming use, I give the Momento from SuperBeings Lab an 8 out of 10. They get their branding on the pad without interrupting any of the real estate, so you have the entire surface to use. It sticks very well to the desk, and if you're playing a very wide variety of games, or if you just want something that isn't too crazy, this is definitely a very safe, good choice. For everyday use, this also gets an 8 out of 10. It flattens out very well out of the box. It comes with that bag, so if you wanted to stow it away, put it away in a box, it's nice to have that extra bag just to make sure that the surface doesn't get damaged. I do notice that it doesn't pick up dust or hair particularly badly either. I've been using this for about a month and I haven't really had to clean it very much, just dust it off lightly, and it's held up very well so far. Now, it does get a couple knocks. I wish it came in other sizes, and I also bring it down a little bit in the score because of that blemish in the top left. This seems more like a defect rather than a build issue with the mousepad itself. Now, for cost, I give the Momento a score of 6 out of 10. It isn't really the best price in the mousepad space right now. Other mouse pads of the same size are going to cost about $10 less on average. And not only that, I mean, you can get the XL wide ones that'll accommodate your keyboard as well as your mouse. Generally cost the price about $40, which is how much the Momento costs at 480 by 400 millimeters. However, you are getting that really premium, kind of nice little extra bag, so that does probably factor into it. And this is just a small run. This is a brand new company, so you don't have a big factory to pump out a ton of pads like some of these other previously well-established companies do. And this is a limited run, so you are paying for a little bit of that exclusivity, because once this runs out, based on how their website kind of words it, these are just going to be gone. And there's also the fact that these are 4 millimeters thick, which is fairly thick for a mouse pad, and it really does have kind of a premium feel with how weighty and heavy it feels in hand. Now, for my personal opinion, I give the Momento a 7 out of 10. This is just a really nice, balanced pad. It doesn't do anything particularly over the top. It's not overly slow, overly fast. Just a really nice, easy to adapt to mouse pad that pretty much anybody could really pick up and get used to use in any game, really. I had a lot of fun testing this. This won't be my main. I will say that this would be a decent mouse pad if you just wanted to get a single pad that just kind of did everything, especially if you like the design and the colorway, because this is a pretty unique and cool looking colorway. And overall, this brings the total score for the Momento to 7.3 out of 10. For a first run pad, this is actually pretty impressive. There's only a few suggestions that I would have in terms of a next run for SuperBeings Lab. Flattening out the edge stitching just a touch more would definitely get it in line with the competition. Having other sizes, especially desk mat sizes, would be a big plus. So again, I really like that they don't put a big logo that ruins the actual pad performance. The fact that they don't do that is also really cool, and they definitely should keep it that way, because that is very nice. This is a very nice first run mouse pad, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what SuperBeings Lab puts out next. But anyways, you guys take it easy, God bless, and I'll see you on the next one, okay? Later.